and welcome to Charts and Hearts. I'm Sarah, and she's Lindsay.
And together, we're working our way through an epic list of rom-coms in order to find and categorize tropes in the hopes of creating the nerdiest spreadsheet podcasts have ever seen.
And in today's episode, we are talking about Roman Holiday. So, yeah, apparently we're still in accidental Italy movies.
Yep,
Oops,
apparently.
sorry. Not
Whatever.
sorry.
Yep. Not sorry at all. Oh my gosh, this movie.
Ugh, seriously. I love it so much.
I know. And I just sat down to watch it, and it was the week before I was going away, and I was really stressed, and it's maybe I'll just watch a little bit of it while I eat dinner. And then it's it's not long, so it's but I was still nope.
Yeah, it's under 2 hours.
I'm watching all of this right now, and then I'm just gonna be mad at it. This film hurt my feelings.
It does. Yeah, I know. I was watching it the other night, and I was like, oh, I don't want to be. It was by the time I was getting to the part where things change, and you realize that you're going to have lots of feelings, it was almost bedtime, and I was like, no, I'm going to watch this another night.
Yeah, good idea. Don't want to go to bed with these feelings.
Yeah, too many feelings. If you haven't seen Roman Holiday, you should pause this movie, go watch it, and come back.
Yep.
It's definitely one of the OG rom-com movies for sure.
Yeah, it's watching it this time and taking notes, and I'm like, this is the start of we should have made this the start of the first movie, because it's basically the start of so many things that we'll get to.
So many things. And I'm sure there's older stuff that this is based on as well, but or that this based itself on and was inspired by, but in terms of more modern cinema that's accessible to watch, this is definitely
and I think because this was also so popular that's
so popular.
This formula, which wasn't necessarily a formula then, it was what can we do to make our movie starring so and so and so and so like Roman Holiday?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And the famous actor, unknown actress.
Yeah.
That whole thing that had definitely been done before, but and also the whole post-war romanticism, being back in Italy, all that stuff. So it is not overall a comedy, and it doesn't fit the rom-com trope of happily ever after for sure, but it is very funny.
It is very funny. The physical comedy is great with getting her out of the bed, all the stuff.
Oh my gosh,
his friend, and trying to get him to stop talking.
The secret.
When he's kicking the chair and spilling coffee on him and stuff.
With his photographer friend. Super funny parts, and even the dance scene, and then when her Secret Service comes and she's cracking guitars over their head and all of that, and her sort of being out and about and doing things that she's not used to getting to do, and almost revealing, they both almost reveal to each other who they really are, even though he knows and she doesn't. But it's so good. And also in the trivia on IMDb, they talk about how they had to be really clear that she's not from Britain, because basically otherwise the British royal family were gonna get super mad. They didn't have clearance, so they had to be super clear. And also it makes sense, in the 50s there was huge interest in the royal family, especially Princess Margaret was everybody was so intrigued about, because this was around, if you've watched The Crown, when she fell in love with a photographer and all that, and she had to not, because he was divorced and she wasn't allowed to marry him and all that. Yep. So
my other big takeaway from this movie is really important, and it's
very important.
Gregory Peck can get it.
Indeed. Oh my god.
Good lord.
Yeah.
That man.
Very
He's
swoony.
also so tall. Oh, he's 6'5".
Oh my gosh.
I know. I looked it up because there's one scene that you could really notice, I think, near the beginning, maybe in the newspaper office, that I was like...
Yeah.
You
in relation to the door and stuff?
Yeah, I think that's what it was, because you never know with people. But then I was like, he walks like a tall man.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, oh man, so tall. I feel like there must have been lots of apple boxes in this. Because Audrey Hepburn isn't super short, but she's not tall.
Yeah, I looked her up then as well. I think 5'9" maybe?
Right, so she's fairly tall, but
like she's tall for a woman, but not that tall. Yeah.
Exactly. She's
lots of apple boxes and like, they're standing on the steps in Italy, so
yeah,
and
they just stand on different steps.
Like lean over towards her a lot as well, so
of course. Well, I mean, there's much swooning.
Of course.
So much swooning. Oh, yeah.
So it's not a perfect movie.
No.
So there's that. Like, there's so many feelings and love, and he does redeem himself and does the right thing. But he does lie to her the entire movie and take photos of her without her permission.
Yes,
so we have to say that.
To be fair, he's like, he's doing that as like a member of the press, and like his photographer friend sort of says that, like, she's a princess, it's fair game. Yeah. But like, and he feels the same way until he gets to know her. Yeah. And then he feels very much not that same way, and then he owes a lot of people a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. The other thing I saw in the trivia that they wanted to cast Cary Grant in this, and he turned it down because he's like, no, I'm way too old. But I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, no, because so Audrey Hepburn was like mid-20s, Cary Grant was like Gregory Peck was sort of mid-30s, and Cary Grant was like late 40s, and I was like, yes, good decision. Yes. I can't even imagine this with Cary Grant. Like,
no, me either. Like, obviously he's very dreamy, but he's got that like George Clooney age. Like, he's like, I am 40. Like, you can't move it around with Gregory Peck. Like, it's like, I am solidly in my mid 40s, and maybe he played 40s until he was 60. I don't know, but he was definitely
seems likely. Yeah,
he was definitely, I am in my 40s, and so I think this would have been a lot more icky with the taking pictures and the lying to
her and the lying and the like at the beginning taking advantage and like having her drugged and stuff in his apartment. Yeah. Although, like, how were they expecting her to work the next day? Like, they drug her to get her to fall asleep, and then they expect her to like have a full day when she's like,
and she doesn't
completely drugged out of her mind the next day. Yeah. So like, yes, she ran away, but like, how were they going to just give her uppers? Like,
maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
they had a doctor on call. Yeah. It's very sketchy.
So sketchy. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was filmed entirely in Italy, and it's a very small cast, which
especially like speaking cast, like they use lots of background performers and stuff, which is kind of cool. But
and then I think just normal people, because you can see there's trivia about how if you're watching this scene, you can see people just staring at the actors or whatever.
Lots of the background are just like people who were in the crowd anyways watching the movie, and then they're like, oh, there are people in the crowd watching the princess. So it all worked out. And it's Audrey Hepburn's first movie, which is amazing. And I keep saying Cary Grant, Gregory Peck was like, no, you need to put her name above mine because she's going to win an Oscar for this. And she did. She's amazing.
She's great. She's amazing and so gorgeous. It's ridiculous.
Ugh, yeah, I know.
She was an EGOT.
In this year, she won an Oscar and a Tony in the same year.
I'm pretty sure she has an EGOT.
She must. Let's find out.
Yeah. Oh, she received her fourth posthumously. What did Audrey Hepburn win an Emmy for?
Okay, so she won, so Oscar for this, an Emmy for Gardens of the World with Audrey Hepburn. It was like a documentary thing that she did.
Okay, so she won it. Like, she did the thing and then died. Like Heath Ledger.
Yeah. So she did her TV show and then died afterwards and then won the Emmy. But for something she'd already done. And then she won a Grammy for a children's album. Oh, no, the children's album came out posthumously.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was. And then she won a Tony for Ondine in the same year. Yeah. As her Oscar, which is amazing. And then she also has a special Tony and a humanitarian award.
Yeah. Like all this other stuff.
Of course. Yeah. Because she's amazing. Oh,
I'll have to look at EGOT lists. They're fun.
I know. There's something so, surprising.
I know. Yeah. There's something, the Tonys are maybe the daytime Emmys or something just happened recently. And it was something about Eminem and somebody else super random both needed just now need a Tony, and they're like, let's team them up together. It would be funny if I could remember who the other person was.
Yeah,
I feel like
but
it was
still.
like Adele or something. Like,
Probably.
it was like, let's team them up and they could do cabaret or something. Like, then I was just like thinking about Eminem being the MC in cabaret, and that was pretty hilarious. Anyway, good times, EGOTs.
Oh yeah, I like Lindsay's note here. So Lindsay and I have been watching Fringe from the beginning in our spare time because it's amazing. And yes, the Secret Service guys in like the plain clothes is definitely that Fringe vibe, but it's also but the
50s.
the Fringe, it's the 50s like detective look that then is like the cliche like FBI like G-man government man kind of like thing that came from the 50s anyways. So makes sense. Oh man, this movie, it's just so good. And it was interesting because so they wanted to film it in Italy, but then because they were filming it in Italy, they had to cut a lot of costs because there was other high costs of filming in Italy. So that's why it's black and white, even though in like 1953, like lots of movies were coming out in color. But they did it in black and white because that is cheaper and makes sense. I really like that it's black and white.
Me too. I was just thinking if it would have changed anything, and I don't think so.
Maybe, like, I mean, it was already a huge commercial success. I think, like, looking back on it, and obviously we didn't watch it until, you know, the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
So the fact that it is black and white, like, ties it really firmly to a particular era.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was in color, you're like, is it 50s, 60s, 70s? Like, when you're, 12 or however old you are when you watch this movie for the first time, you wouldn't know. But, like, because of the attire, like, so it feels more of its exact era. Like,
yeah, that's very true. Like, looking at the other movies we're doing for 50s month, White Christmas is very obvious because it's the first film produced in VistaVision, as you see every time you turn the movie on.
Indeed.
But Desk Set, which is coming up next, I could not tell you what year it is at all.
Yeah.
Because it's in color and is in the 50s.
Yeah, like we had to look it up, so we were like, obviously.
Idea what year
we're like 50s, 60s, probably not 40s, because not many things were in color in the 40s.
Well, I know it wasn't the 40s because they talk about what he did in the war.
Oh, okay.
So it could have
Lindsay's
been late
seen this
40s.
movie a million
7,000 times, but we'll talk about it in
maybe
2
once.
weeks.
Indeed. Okay, let's itemize some tropes.
Oh my goodness, so many.
Because it's
many.
like
the first one
that does all these things. Is it the first secret princess trope? It's our first secret princess movie for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like there's old stories of like The Prince and the Pauper is kind of that.
Yeah, so like Princess and the Commoner is not like maybe in a love story. But
maybe.
Definitely not first, but maybe like in a popular movie.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
And made up European country is like, I don't know if it's the first, but it's the
so
biggest
iconic.
trope in Hallmark and Netflix and
like the Princess Diaries. Is Princess Diaries on the list?
Probably.
Okay, we should have like a fake European month.
Yeah.
Fake European countries themed. She's not just a normal princess. Like she's so quirky.
Princess.
She doesn't like being a princess. She, she's clumsy. She has opinions, all that stuff. Like all these things of like, I'm assuming all princesses are kind of like that. They're just not allowed to, or they choose not to express their true selves for
this is definitely
proprietary.
Again, based on what I know about from The Crown, Princess Margaret vibes of like, she's not a normal princess.
For sure.
She does what she needs to do, but she also wears crazy dresses. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But like, presumably all princesses were like that. They just didn't have the like freedom or the like desire to step outside of the like boundaries of their life. Whereas this one, yeah. So, and then like love at first sight or falling in lust on your first date. Yes, true.
Yeah, we've had that before, definitely.
Yes, we've definitely had that before, like so many times. Like every movie that we've done. Maybe not every, but like a solid 30%.
A lot of them, yeah.
And then emotional haircuts.
Yes.
Symbolic haircut of like, in her case it was freedom, but sometimes people get they get haircuts because of like wanting to, have their show off their feelings or express their feelings after a breakup or all that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely like there's makeover scenes for boys, like, and she's all that. And I'm like, oh,
Yes.
she took off her glasses. But then there's makeover scenes for you, and you're like, I'm so confident now. Like, what's her face in Devil Wears Prada, and half of sliding doors, and millions of others.
And this one was more about her wanting to not look like
Herself.
Or like what people expect of her, and also just like having a more modern haircut.
Yeah,
this
just
haircut
having
is
the
so
ability to
iconic.
do it. Yeah,
holy
it's
cow,
amazing.
Ugh, yeah, like apparently it became like a whole. It was basically like the first Rachel. Haircut. Yes.
Yeah.
So many. I'm sure we've missed some because it's just like so many.
It's just like
pieces
all of them.
Of this movie go on to like they weren't tropes in this movie, they were just like bits, and then they go on to be massive things. Also, like I really want to go to like an outdoor dance in Italy.
I know,
this is
right?
2 movies now that have had like massive outdoor dance scenes.
Yeah,
who knew that was a thing?
I don't know, but I'm into it.
Indeed. Okay, does this pass the Bechdel test?
Technically, yes.
Yes.
It is a small cast.
Yes,
but at the beginning, she has her secretary person. Yeah, and so and that's fine. And like it's not like she goes back and talks to her secretary about the man she fell in love with, which is what happens in all the movies based off of this movie moving forward.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, no, she doesn't, like, it's a secret. Like, she doesn't tell anybody that she fell in love with this guy that we see on screen anyways. Yeah, no, so she has like her work monarch life of doing speeches and blah blah blah, and so she has lots of conversations with, I think she's like a countess, her lady in waiting kind of person who is like her private secretary or whatever.
And like I feel bad for her because it's not her fault that all this
I mean she's upholding a regime that she benefits from, and other people suffer through, but it's just but also like what else is she gonna do? She doesn't
exactly. That's sort of the life that she was also in as well.
Exactly. Oh, monarchy feelings. The crown's starting soon.
I know. Oof, it's gonna be rough.
And also Prince Harry's book.
I know. Man. Oh my god. Oh
so much.
Man.
Oh, I really want to read it. Oh man. I feel bad for wanting to read it, but also like he's publishing it, so I can't feel that bad. It's not like anybody forced him to publish it. Yeah. Okay, anyways. Shall we make some pie?
Yeah, Italian pie.
Okay, you go first.
I've already said this, but Gregory Peck's swoon is high on the list.
It's kind of the point of watching a romantic movie with an is that you find the couple attractive and that you swoon over their love. Yes. 50?
Yeah. 100% of that of 50%, yes.
Adorable spy cameras.
Adorable spy cameras. Like, this is the thing of, like, why don't we use lighter cameras anymore?
I mean, it was the 50s, so, like, very Cold War, like, also, like, putting cameras into weird things.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, seems very, like, post-war or, like, during the war kind of thing. I don't know, like, 10?
Yeah. It just, like, and I know that it's a movie, but, like, the quality of the photos were really good.
Really good for coming from, I'm assuming, like, 2mm film?
Yeah.
I guess unless it was, like, Polaroid style, so you put in, like, a single film that's, like...
No, because he holds up the negatives when he goes to see him at the end, and he's like, look how tiny these negatives are, and we got a huge blow-up from it, and I'm like... okay.
But also, I guess black and white, you don't need as many pixels.
That's true. I don't know enough about cameras or the technology of miniaturizing things to put them into spyware. So
no, me neither.
Yeah. Missed that day at school.
Indeed. I did do photography and I have developed black and white film and it's very fun. But we use normal cameras with normal film.
Yeah, as you would.
Because, it would have been fun to do with spy cameras. Like, just chill Italian culture and life.
Just like, I'm just going to go sit at this cafe and drink a coffee and whatever and get some ice cream and wander
champagne
around.
For lunch and,
wine
out of like what we would call like a juice glass. Oh, it's my favorite thing to drink wine out of. Mm-hmm. I do it all the time because wine glasses don't fit in my dishwasher very well. Yeah. So why would I use one and screw up my whole dishwasher system? Yeah, living that chill Italian life. I don't know, like 30?
Yeah.
And then epic hairdos.
10.
Well, in particular.
Right.
Yes, so that leaves us with 10 for epic hairdos. So 50% swooning, 10% spy cameras, 30% chill Italy, and 10% epic haircuts.
Yep.
An amazing pie. Sign me up. Although I don't really want a short haircut with bangs.
No, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. No, then I'd have to wash my hair more than once a week.
No. No. Goodness.
Oh, no, thank you.
So what's next for them? Nothing. Again, similar to
nothing. I mean, they will go off and live their lives. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They'll always have this.
I would. Yeah, they'll always have Rome. Yeah.
So many feelings.
Yeah. I mean, I wish it was different.
I know, but then it wouldn't be different.
It wouldn't be this movie. It would be the modern spin-off of this movie that they make every 4 years on Netflix and/or
Hallmark. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. What's next for us?
Well, it is 50s month. That was our point of making this month. But it is actually our first, not last, Hepburn month.
Yay!
On the main feed anyway. As I said before, our next episode is Desk Set. It's also kicking off our Christmas-esque theme very early because we make the rules here. And
indeed. And
that's how it's going to be.
Well, it'll be after Remembrance Day, which is our personal rule.
Exactly. So if you haven't seen Desk Set, go watch it because that movie rules. Spencer and Catherine just doing it up.
So good. I'm very excited.
I think it's their best one, but I'm very biased because it's the first one I ever saw. So
I'm excited to see it again.
Yeah. And over on our Patreon this month, continuing with 50s and us making up their own rules, we will be doing White Christmas. Hooray.
Yeah. It'll be more like the end of the month because we're not quite ready to watch it yet.
We're not ready.
It's still like crisp fall. Let us enjoy our crisp fall. We had too much 30-degree fall.
Took forever to get here, so.
Yeah, so give us a few weeks, at least. Yeah. Anyways, that brings us to the end of our episode. You can rate or review our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And you can find us on social media. We're at Charts and Hearts Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and at Charts and Hearts on Twitter. Or you can check out our website, chartsandhearts.com, where you can submit your suggestions for rom-coms and tropes for us to add to the list.
Yep, as we said, our next Patreon episode is White Christmas. We just did something that I've completely blanked on. Splash of Love.
Splash of Love.
Like, I've been talking about it for months and months and months.
Months and months and months.
Plus, we've got lots of other fun stuff over there. You can check us out at patreon.com/chartsandheartsclub. And let us know your thoughts on this movie. Do you have a lot of feelings, too? Do you want us to make that Gregory Peck swoon part of the pie higher percent? Because I could be convinced.
Indeed.
Let us know.
And in the meantime,
hit him again, Smitty. Bye.
Bye.